She as well as a composer, and her great claim to fame, she told me, is that she has known Michael for years and years and years and years and years. And I think they have a very special relationship. And she also works with Karen Drucker, whom I know we all know and love. And and she did her music for us for Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve, for which I know we are also very grateful.
And I am extremely grateful.
Thank you. So I will introduce you now again to Lauren.
Why do you think you belong up here? They don't want to listen to you. Hey, you voice in my head. Yeah, I heard what you said. But I'll choose new thoughts instead, and I'll say, please go away. Well, they're sort of pretending to pay attention to you, but you're going to bore them stiff. Hey, you critical voice, who won't let me rejoice, doubting my every choice, so I'll say, please go away. Just like all those other times I've told you, you don't know what you're doing. All those times you've led me to judge myself and criticize, but all the lines you fed me, I realize are only lies. I'm finally getting wise and saying, hey, you voice of self-doubt, I don't care what you shout, 'cause now I'm throwing you out, and I say, go away, go away. Why aren't you listening to me? You know you'll never be good enough. Telling me I'm not good enough and teaching me to fear you. But as of now, I've stood enough, and I don't even want to be near you. But, la la la, I can't hear you. Hey, you voice in my head. Yeah, I've heard what you said, but I'm choosing new thoughts instead, and I say, go away, go away. But, you're no longer needed, so you've been deleted. Go away, go away, go away. Bye. So the critical voice in our head, otherwise known as the inner critic. Can any of you relate? Do we all have one? I mean, if you don't, I am so jealous, and I hope you will share with the rest of the class whatever it is you did to get out of that in your head, because for the rest of us, we have that voice that's always telling us we're not good enough, we're not working hard enough, we're not doing it right, making us doubt ourselves, getting in our way when we try new things, if you've ever felt that fear when you try something new. And of course, like many of you, I'm an overachiever, so I don't just have one. I have a whole chorus of them, because like all type A good girls, I can't just have one inner critic. So see if any of these sound familiar. There's the disdainful boss. Why did I expect you would be able to do that right? There's the coach who tries but keeps backfiring. Come on, you're never going to do it, but try harder anyway. Or there's the sarcastic mean girl. Oh, honey, it's so cute that you actually think you look good in that outfit. Sound familiar? The disappointed parent, we all know that one. I knew you'd never amount to anything. Or when in doubt, there's always the mean drill sergeant. You're not trying hard enough. Drop and give me 10. 10 what? Anyway. And I will be completely honest with all of you. My inner critic has been up today because I'm expecting that some of you are thinking, who is this person and what's with the puppet? You probably haven't seen a puppet in here before, but it helps me diffuse it with a little bit of humor, because my whole shtick is if you can laugh at it, you can deal with it. And by that, I don't mean avoid all your work stress by watching a bunch of Carol Burnett videos, although that is helpful. And I also don't mean that it's your fault if you can't laugh your way out of serious problems. What I mean is that if you are facing a challenge like an inner critic, sometimes using some humor can help shrink it down a little bit, help you put things in perspective, and then problems are a little easier to deal with. So that's my whole idea of if you can laugh at it, you can deal with it. Now, I don't presume to be an expert on the inner critic. There are hundreds of articles and websites and psychologists who have addressed this with some pretty practical tips that I'm not at all disputing work. Things like, well, first of all, identify it and name it. So as I'm driving up here today to do this talk and my critic starts going, you didn't plan this very well. Oh, that's my inner critic. So you identify it. That's really helpful. Respond with more accurate information. If the voice is saying, you're not prepared, actually I am. You can't learn new things. I have learned new things. All that is valid, positive affirmations. I can. Also, inevitably, in any kind of self-help, they always recommend self-care, which I love because basically any excuse to get a pedicure and a massage, right? That's my favorite form of self-care. But in case my puppet didn't tip you off, this is not going to be your typical talk. So this is not going to be your typical tips on the inner critic. So I say take all of those techniques and take them to illogical extremes. So for example, the whole idea of identify it and name it. I say go beyond naming it as an inner critic, actually give it a name. So I'm going to share how I deal with mine. I picked two of the most critical people in my life to name my inner critic, my maternal grandmother, Wilma, who was never satisfied with anything my mother did or me. And she was so mean when we were kids and we played Candyland with her. She cheated so she could win Candyland. So, and I also like, if you're going to name it, to pick a name that's not somebody you deal with in real life. My grandmother passed a long time ago. So, and I don't know anybody named Wilma, so that helps. But just to make sure, I wanted to add to her name, so I picked the name of my ex-husband. So my inner critic, he was pretty critical. So now we get Wilma Bob. And somehow it's hard to take seriously anybody named Wilma Bob. So whenever my inner critic starts going, it's like, Wilma Bob, you're not right here, and I can talk back to her. The other thing I do is give her an image. So because kind of combining my ex-husband and my grandmother doesn't work visually, so I take another mean inner critic person in real life for me, and that was Mrs. Winston, my middle school choir teacher. She's the one who told me, you know what, Lauren, I think I'm going to switch you from the alto section to playing the piano, because that way you'll actually contribute to the music. Yeah. Have any of you had or ever heard that? Just mouth the words, Johnny, because you're messing up all the other kids in the winter concert. It's horrible, and that totally gets it. It's as if somebody criticizes your piano playing and it makes the keys warp. If somebody criticizes your singing, it gets into the throat muscles, and it actually does totally reinforce that inner critical voice of your singing. So, but Mrs. Winston, and she looked like a mean middle school teacher. I wanted to diffuse her with a little humor, so I combined her face with the body of Ursula the Sea Witch from the Little Mermaid cartoon. So I have Wilma Bob, the middle school choir teacher, Sea Witch, and that's my vision. So we're going to take this idea and actually use it for our meditation. So I'm going to invite Michael to come up, and while I set this up, I'm going to do a bit of a guided meditation for you. And you can ignore the directions I give you and just enjoy Michael's beautiful music and this gorgeous sanctuary. But if you want, I'll give you a couple of tips. I don't know if any of you struggle with meditation. I totally do. My inner critic is Wilma Bob is going, you're not doing this right. The problem is I'm a very suggestible person, so if I hear a guided meditation say, breathe in good thoughts, breathe out all the things you don't want, and then breathe in. But all the stuff that I don't want, I just breathed out. I'm re-inhaling it, and it's sitting there. So I struggle with that, so I'm going to give you a very different kind of guided meditation. if you like. And again, feel free to just say, I'm going to just enjoy it and do my own thing. But let's listen to Michael's music and just slow our breathing down. And instead of a specific thing, I like counting. That's what I do in my own meditation practice. And I'll give you a guided count, but you can do your own thing. So you're just going to exhale for 4, 3, 2, 1, and inhale. 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 2, 3, 4. Inhale. 2, 3, 4. Then let your breath return to normal, or you can keep that 4 count going. And if you would like, visualize your own personal Wilma Bob. Maybe it's a real person who is your functioning inner critic. Maybe it's a cartoon character. Feel free to borrow Wilma Bob. Put a face of somebody you don't like on the body of a cartoon character, whatever you want. But if you like, just take a few minutes and see how that feels to visualize that critic as something comical, and see if it gives you a little bit of peace. And then we'll do something with that in just a minute. So keep breathing. If you have visualized something, each time you exhale, exhale through your mouth like you're gently blowing out birthday candles, and blow on your inner critic, and let that vision get smaller. Then inhale again. Blow gently. See if you can get that a little smaller by either visualizing it shrinking or visualizing it just blowing further and further away. Take in another breath and visualize blowing again. And by the end of this last breath, it's pretty small. I know for me, by now, Wilma Bob is so far away. It's like in those cartoons where you can't hear the character because they're too far away. So yeah, they're there. We can never make it totally go away. But it's pretty small and very far away and very faint. Take another couple of relaxed breaths and gradually feel some sensation coming back into your body. Reconnect with the feeling of the chair, with your feet on the floor. Relaxed. Maybe wiggle your fingers and toes a little bit. Maybe shake your legs around a little bit. And start to come back to the room and gradually open your eyes. So I don't know how many of you actually visualized an inner critic, but if any of you did it help to visualize it getting smaller? I really love that exercise, but I'm going to give you a couple of other ones too. One of the things that I love with humor, and a great source of humor, is to take things to illogical extremes. So we're going to do a couple more of those. With the more practical exercises, for example, affirmations. The classic affirmation is Stuart Smalley: I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and gosh darn it, people like me. Well, sometimes I'll do, I'm amazing enough, I'm too brilliant for the world, and gosh darn it, as fabulous as I am, I'm too nice to hate. Sometimes that helps. You can also do something that actually psychologists have discovered called the power pose. Have you heard of this? You stand like that. They did this as an exercise, and it actually raised people's testosterone levels before they went into meetings, presentations, auditions, that kind of thing. turned out the science was a little bit iffy. The methodology, the studies weren't so great. I don't know if it raises my testosterone level or my confidence, but I know doing this before I do a presentation makes me crack up. So that helps too. Or another one I love is to lean into the self-doubt, to take those things to an illogical extreme. For example, I was nervous about giving this talk, and what if I forget what I was going to say? What if my allergies, which are up right now, make me have to clear my throat in the middle, which they're doing, and then I forget how to sing, and I forget the words to everything, and I stand up here and I can't even remember to speak English, and it makes all the chairs fall down, and everybody hates me, and the church building erupts into flame because I did something wrong spiritually. And it kind of cracks me up. It's like, no, probably I'll have to clear my throat once and I will survive. There's an actual acting technique that I learned in terms of leaning into the fear, where you take your hands, shake them. Instead of trying to fight it, shake them really hard, shake your whole body, and then you stop. And you can do this longer, but I want to get you out of here on time for the 49er game. So, but in other words, you lean into it. My favorite leaning into it, of course, is when you deal with parenting, because of course as a parent you're always afraid you're going to make a mistake, right? And face it, in any situation, no matter what you decide, you can find dozens of experts, books, websites, or a television show, psychologists to tell you you're wrong. Or in my case, I just listened to my mother. She, for example, would always tell me I was wrong to let my boys watch Family Guy. I don't know if any of you have seen that show. It's really funny and really inappropriate. And I understood her complaint about it, but on the other hand, all their friends were watching it. So if I didn't let them, they'd feel really out of it with their peer group. But what, by that logic, I'm supposed to let them sniff glue if everybody's doing it? So no matter what I decide, I'm a bad mom. Or my boys bicker. I mean, that's kind of what kids do. And my impulse was always to jump in and break it up. But then I saw an article that said that kids only fight to get your attention, so the way to break it up is to ignore it. But then I saw another article that said, actually, sibling rivalry can get out of hand and is potentially dangerous, so parents have a moral imperative to stop it. But then I saw another article that said, kids learn important conflict resolution skills through fighting with each other, and when parents intervene, you short-circuit that critical emotional development. So no matter what I do, I'm a bad mom. Or there was that morning, my younger son, Ben, woke up with a sore throat, and my husband was out of town on a work trip, and I had this huge presentation to a big client that I'd waited weeks to get in to see, and I panicked because who was going to stay home with him? And then I took his temperature, and it was normal. I thought, oh, it's probably just allergies. But then I thought, what if he gets to school and it's worse, and he spikes the temperature, and it maybe turns into pneumonia, and the school calls me, but they can't reach me because I'm in the big presentation, and my cell phone is turned off, so he'll feel horrible, and they'll think I'm a neglectful parent. But then I remembered he had a spelling test that day, and you know how kids have symptoms on the day they don't feel prepared for something, but that was really my fault, because I meant to help him prepare and study the night before, but my older son David's rehearsal ran over, so we had to stop at the store and get something to eat because I had nothing in the house for dinner. You see, I'd meant to do menu planning for the week and then shopping that previous Sunday before my husband left, but that was the day he finally assembled the ping pong table that had been sitting in the backyard for 4 months because we lost the instructions. So I decided family game night was more important than going shopping and planning for the week, but it wasn't that fun because the kids fought over how to play and the dog ate most of the ping pong balls. But anyway, that's why I didn't go shopping, so I couldn't do meal planning for the week, so I didn't have anything in the house, so I had to go shopping, so I didn't help Ben study for his test, so that's my fault and I should let him stay home. But then if I let him stay home and I cancel with this client, I'll never get another appointment. They could have given me enough freelance work to pay the bills for months. I have to stop working for myself, get a 9-to-5 job, which will really be 80 hours a week. I'll never see my kids. They'll fall in with the wrong crowd, start doing drugs, and ruin their lives forever. But if I don't let Ben stay home, he's going to either be direly ill or at very least feel betrayed by me, develop abandonment issues, and never be able to sustain a meaningful relationship. So no matter what I decide, I'm a bad mom. And you figure, after leaning into it that extremely, if nothing else, my inner critic was too exhausted to speak up anymore. So you can make it seem ridiculous by leaning into it. My last strategy that I want to give you is the one they always say: acknowledge that your inner critic is a good sign that you are doing the right thing, you're making change, you're stretching, you're shaking up the status quo. But I say don't just acknowledge it, cheer it. And you can't cheer without pom-poms. There are two here. You can order these online very easy. I highly recommend that because anytime you do something good, you can cheer yourself. But you don't even have to just cheer yourself for good stuff. You can cheer your inner critic. So you're going to repeat after me. You ready?
Yes.
Okay. Pretend you have pom-poms. Oh, good. You're even getting into choreographies. So bring it on, Wilma Bob.
Bring it on, Wilma Bob.
I know you're just doing your job.
I know you're just doing your job.
Showing me great changes in store.
Showing me changes in store.
And now I'm showing you the door.
Now I'm showing you the door.
Yay, Wilma Bob!
Yay, Wilma!
So all good celebrations. See, now you're all revved up for the 49er game, right? Go 49ers!
Yay!
I should have brought red and gold. I'm sorry. Anyway, so all good celebrations need to end with a song. So your part do we have a slide for this one? I don't think so. Okay. Well, your part is My Inner Critic, and it's going to end with a bye-bye. So you all ready for a
Yes, yes.
Let's get our musicians
And
up here.
Ruben, if you'd like to play a little kungo on this, so it'll fall right in. It's the same with Brian. You want to play a little something?
Yay!
So we'll get our percussions, our unity percussion
Yay.
section, which
I
is
have a percussion section.
is
I feel
going
like a
pro really
star.
soon. And you know what's funny
Oh,
is
good.
I've known Lauren enough to know who Bob is.
Michael is responsible for my meeting Bob. No. Actually, I met him first.
yes.
I
but
met you
was-
and Bob at the same time.
But then I'm responsible for the Karen Drucker connection.
Yes. Michael introduced me to Karen. Michael also played at my first wedding. So it was
I
a
know
great wedding,
Bob.
just wasn't a great marriage. But
You can't say you don't know Bob. I know Bob.
he knows Bob. Michael and I have known each other so long that if we actually told you how long it's been, you would assume we met in
Kindergarten. Okay, you ready?
Yes.
All right. On, two.
You can dance if you want. Oh, when old childhood messages pop up and get in our way, and it's hard to ignore the awful things they say. That voice inside us, it seems impossible to tame it, but we can answer it and deal with it once we name it. Here's your part, my inner critic. Ready, go.
My inner critic.
Always saying no.
My inner critic.
It's time to let you go.
My inner critic.
I'll ignore what you say.
My inner critic.
Feel free to go away.
My inner critic.
Bye bye. That voice that rains on your parade and wants to knock you flat. Or says, you're not actually gonna leave the house looking like that. So let's let go of that voice that wants to make us doubt, and telling it, don't let the door hit you on the way out. It's a family service.
My inner critic.
Always saying no.
My inner critic.
It's time to let you go.
My inner critic.
Feel it, I'll ignore what you say.
My inner critic.
Feel free to go. Oh, they're the words.
My inner critic.
Bye bye. Although it isn't fun to combat that voice and all its kvetching, it's a sign that's showing I'm growing and I'm stretching. So when it tells me, you can't, you won't, you shouldn't, you don't deserve, you're not good enough, I'll say, well, Wilma Bob, thanks for the reminder. It's time to sing this song. One more time, everybody.
My inner critic.
Always saying no.
My inner critic.
It's time to let you go.
My inner critic.
Feel free, I'm sorry, ignore what you say.
My inner critic.
I write 'em, I can't remember. Feel free to go away.
My inner critic.
Bye bye. Thank you.
Lauren
Thank you,
Mayer.
guys, and the percussion section.
And the Unity Percussion people, UPP.
Oh, oh my God, it's impossible to follow that. And I think that you guys had better get moving because probably Amazon's going to run out of pom-poms. So much to think about and so much to remember. So now we'll settle down a little bit and say, here at Unity Spiritual Center, we are an ocean of love. Yes. And we have an inspiring, my goodness, I have to put my glasses on again. We have an inspiring vision, an exciting mission, and compelling values by which we strive to live. So please join with me in saying them aloud. Our vision is centered in God. We co-create a world powerfully transformed through the growing movement of shared spiritual awakening. And our mission is we are a creative, joy-filled spiritual community dedicated to healing, inspiring, and transforming the lives of all people through prayer, education, and love. And our values are, we are spirit-led, generous with resources, inclusive, joyously creative, and guided by integrity. And in this space, feeling inspired by our vision, mission, and values, and feeling enriched, very enriched today, I think, by what we have experienced here, let us take time now to be a channel for enrichment through our generous tithes and love offerings. And as Michael shares the next beautiful song, please take the time to write out a check to USC, or if you're on Zoom, to make a donation online. And if you're here in the sanctuary, the ushers will come forward to take your offering. And practicing the principle of tithing ourselves as a spiritual community, Unity Spiritual Center of San Francisco, tithes 10% of the offering collected each Sunday to various Unity organizations and to local nonprofits that serve our city. So now, let us take a moment to bless our offerings as we cup them in our hands or next to our hearts and say our offering blessing, which is on your screen. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God.
Gratitude before me, gratitude behind me, gratitude to the left of me, gratitude to the right of me, gratitude above me, gratitude below me, gratitude within me, gratitude all around me. I'm so grateful.
So grateful.
I'm so grateful.
So grateful.
I'm so grateful.
So grateful.
I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful.
So grateful.
I'm so grateful.
So grateful.
I'm so grateful.
So grateful.
I'm so grateful. Gratitude before me.
Before me.
Gratitude behind me.
Below me.
Gratitude to the left of me.
Left of me.
Gratitude to the right of me.
Right of
Gratitude
me.
above me.
Above me.
Gratitude below me.
Below me.
Gratitude within me. Gratitude all around me. And I'm so grateful.
So grateful.
I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful.
So grateful.
I'm so grateful.
So grateful.
I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful.
Thank you. And now we bless our offering. All righty. Okay. And now we bless our offering. Our blessings on the screen, and you can join with me. Bless the acts of our hands, our minds, our hearts. May everything offered here at Unity Spiritual Center be a reflection of all that is good within us. Grant us the courage to patiently listen for the stirring of your presence. Enliven our spirits with humor. Fill us with reverence for one another and gratitude for our diversity. May unity, beauty, and truth be the fruit of all we do. Thank is. Amen. Thank you, God. And now, also, we want to bless our children. So, please.
We do have announcements, or I think
Yes,
Susan.
I'm going to do those.
Yes.
I'll do them.
First.
You want to do them first?
I do. It's in order. I'm sorry.
All right,
Everything has
I'm
to be in order, or
sorry.
Wilma Bob will come and get me.
Oh,
And I don't want her to come and get me. I just want her to come and get the Eagles.
okay. Okay, so we have announcements, and we have several of them. So, take them one by one. First, and very important, to be a member of the church of this particular Unity Spiritual Center of San Francisco, you must fill out a form every year. And so the forms are available in the back. And so please do just check off your form, and so you can be officially a member. And it's not next Sunday. Oh, it is next Sunday, isn't it? Next Sunday, February 5th, is our Volunteer Appreciation Day. And we have lots of volunteers to appreciate, so please be here to join in the celebration and to thank them for their participation. And on the same day, in the afternoon, will be the drumming circle, and I hear it's going really well. And I know they give you lots of encouragement even when you've never touched anything like that in your life before. So please come by after the service. On the 12th, which is the Sunday after, we will be putting together blessing bags to be shared with homeless people in need in shelters and so on and so forth. And the materials will all be provided. And if you'd like to donate materials, that would be fantastic. And also be fantastic for you to be here to help put the bags together. And we're going to have a book study group again. And they'll be discussing the book called The Four Agreements, which I have ordered but haven't opened yet, so I can't tell you anything about it. But that starts on Thursday, February 23rd, and that's a Wednesday, and it's at 4 o'clock on the link for everything else that we do. Okay. And this one really is different. We've never done this before. It's going to be March 18th. That's a Saturday. And we'll be joining with Reverend Jerry's other church, because they have a big kitchen for us to work in, to prepare meals for the homeless that day. And is that it, Ben? Oh, no, we're going to have a World Cafe. This is something we're going to try. I hope you all like it, where instead of sitting out there in your seats all by, you're lonesome, you'll be sitting, we will arrange tables, and people will actually converse with each other face to face, looking at each other, right? And that is, what is that date? I can't see it. TBD. Oh, TBD. Oh, well, that's a good date, right?
To be determined.
We'll remember that one. Okay. Is that it for today? Announcement-wise? Can we bless the children now?
Almost. The volunteer
one more.
opportunities.
Oh, volunteer opportunity. Oh, yes. I really do like this one. Really, we need people to do all kinds of things. You can do anything. You can usher. You can usher, you can draw something, you can do a workshop, you can help with hospitality, you can come up with a new idea of what something to do. I'm sure that we sure haven't thought of all of them. So please do think about volunteering. And of course, after the service today, we will have refreshments, hospitality, and you're very welcome to contribute to that in any way, including all the way from baking a pie to just being with us. Okay. Oh my goodness. And we also have on Mondays and Monday and Thursdays, Reverend Jerry does a guided meditation and a reading from the Daily Word at noon. And that can be just 15 minutes out of your day, which can be a real pickup for you. So think about it. He'll be resuming that
February 6th.
February 6th. Good. Okay. Oh, now.
Order.
Yay.
Wilma Bob.
I know.
You have a point there, Randy. Phew. Okay. Okay, for our children, we love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, and we behold the presence of God in you, empowering you to do great things.
Okay.
So let's join and circle now, please.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, a peace that was meant to be. With God as creator, family all are we. Let me walk with my family in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
Let us go in this day and in the coming week, knowing that the light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. Wherever I am, God is. And all is well. Thank you, God.